The teen horror revival continues. We've got the latest.
I can't go home. When I get there, they're waiting for me.
The X-Files cancer man, William B. Davis, reveals his true identity. Plus, Amanda Finch has some suggestions for the writers of TV's top sci-fi shows. The spaciest automobiles ever built, Watchmen creator Alan Moore, and even more. Godzilla attacks Tokyo. Here are the details from this week's Sci-Fi Wire. The new Godzilla film opened big in Japan, but audience reaction has been mixed. The film's opening day attendance was close to 500,000, shattering Lost World's first day record of 350,000. But many Japanese fans were shocked by the redesign of their beloved monster. It seems in Japan, the original Godzilla is more than a movie monster. He's a folk hero and cultural icon. To celebrate their launch of the digitally remastered original Star Trek series, the Sci-Fi Channel and Best Western are co-sponsoring a special Star Trek sweepstakes. The grand prize is a 7-day trip for two to Dusseldorf, Germany, to attend the premiere of the Star Trek World Tour, an incredible live Federation adventure featuring a walkthrough recreation of the USS Enterprise. You can enter at any Best Western, participating budget rent-a-car locations, on the Dominion website, or by sending a postcard with your name, address, phone number, and date of birth to the Star Trek Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 38, New York, New York, 10185. But you must be at least 21 to enter.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a sort of electronic book. Tells you everything you want to know.
Douglas Adams' humorous sci-fi novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is heading for the big screen. Adams is currently scripting the film with director Jay Roach, best known for his hit film Austin Powers. The pair expects to finish the script soon, with pre-production beginning in early '99 for a summer 2000 release. Stay on top of all the latest sci-fi news by checking the online Sci-Fi Wire. Just point your browser to www.scifi.com.
This time of year, I find myself all a-twitter. There's an extra spring in my step and a song on my lips. Yep, you guessed it. The new fall TV season is almost here. Of course, by November, I'll probably have endured a couple of episodes of Shannon Doherty's new teenage witch show, Charmed, not to mention accidentally watching a few episodes of Earth Final Conflict. By then, I'm sure I'll be back to my old cynical self. But for now, at least, let's consider me a television optimist. Nothing has reinforced my faith in TV land lately like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This show gracefully walks the fine line between campy and cool. Season 2 had a cliffhanger literally from hell, leaving Angel down under, where things could get even hotter for the troubled vampire with a rumored spin-off series in the works. Star Trek Voyager is getting yet another facelift.
On screen.
This year they're really going home, apparently to become Star Trek The Next Generation. You can expect to see even more of 36, 26, 37 of 9 since the beautiful Jerry Ryan did so much for the ratings last season. And Voyager's oft-forgotten older sister, Deep Space Nine, heads into its 7th and final season. A cliffhanger left us with the death of Dax and the exodus of Sisko, so expect one heck of a swan song. And check out the new Sliders. This Lost in Place series has benefited from the move to the Sci-Fi Channel, abandoning the lame movie ripoff of the weak plots such as Twister World and Island of Dr. Moreau World in favor of real sci-fi. New series set to both delight and punish us include a remake of Fantasy Island, starring Malcolm McDowell.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
And the horrific Hollyweird from the bizarre pairing of Wes Craven and Sean Cassidy. Speaking of weird, there's the new syndicated... Wait, let me regain my composure. The Crow Stairway to Heaven. Highlander will spin off a new series with an immortal chick swinging her sword. Maybe they'll call it Highlander Warrior Princess. And someone, somewhere, allowed Mortal Kombat to become a TV series. I'm getting more cynical as we speak. Are there no new ideas? We're on our 4th Star Trek series, remaking Fantasy Island, Mortal Kombat, The Crow, and now Highlander, already a movie remake, is ripping off Xena, and we've got 2 shows on the air about teenage witches. What's next? Buffy the Vampire Princess? Deep Space 90210? I'm Amanda Finch, and I'm going to read a book.
Thanks, Amanda.
I like her,
One
too.
big
That's
reason
why
I'm looking forward to the fall TV season is the X-Files. One of my favorite characters on the show is Cigarette Smoking Man, played by William B. Davis. We actually got to talk with Mr. Davis at an X-Files convention this summer. And after cutting through the smoke screen, I found a fascinating actor.
I'm in the game because I believe what I'm doing is right. If people were to know of the things that I know, it would all fall apart.
Since episode 1, William B. Davis has been looming in the shadows as the infamous Cigarette Smoking Man. Then, last year, viewers were led to believe the character had been killed. But as we all know, nothing is quite what it seems in the world of the X-Files.
You just don't know what's going to come out of Chris Carter's brain. I mean, we laugh and say he spent too much time in the sun when he was surfing, and he said he spent too much time getting water up his nose. But whatever, it's done something very strange to his brain. So something always comes out different than you would ever expect, which is terrific.
There are complications. Mulder saw one of the infected bodies that we destroyed in Dallas.
While the X-Files movie continues to put forth theories on alien invasions, Davis has his own belief on the subject.
Well, I won't say I never did. When I was in grade 10, I think I did believe in flying saucers, as we called them then. And actually, I won awards on a public speaking contest, arguing in favor of the existence of flying saucers. But as I became older and wiser, I haven't. And, you know, the onus of proof in a way is really on the people who say it exists, not the people who say it doesn't.
When he's not involved with alien discussions on or off screen, Davis can often be found donning a wetsuit. The 60-year-old actor is a champion water skier.
I've been doing it for a lot of years, and it's kind of what one does, you know. It also, you know, also keeps me in shape and all that kind of stuff, or I keep in shape in order to be able to do that, which is great, and defies age in a way, you know. I mean, you know, I compete against people in their 70s, you know, who still ski really well.
I may have located the digital tape that you're looking for.
You may have located it.
Yes, so there's a great chance it may fall into the hands of people who might use it for purposes not your own.
You want to work a deal? Is that what this is?
Davis has been acting since age 11 and is a long-time TV veteran. However, it's only now through his exposure on X-Files that viewers recognize him in public.
The ones who talk to me are all quite clear of the difference between the actor and the character. You know? And so all my, without exception, my contact with fans on the street or wherever has been pleasant, and you know, they've all been respectful, and you know, so that's been. But you know, there's something that's maybe surprising to you and surprising to me. There are actually people out there who don't watch the show, and they don't know who I am. They think I'm just an ordinary person. It's very odd.
Coming up, the big teen horror craze continues. And later, graphic novelist Alan Moore, creator of Watchmen and Swamp Thing. What brand of cigarettes does Cancer Man smoke? The answer, after this. Cancer Man smokes a fictional brand of cigarettes called Morley's. In reality, non-smoker William B. Davis is puffing on herbal cigarettes. Teen horror movies have been all the rage in Hollywood since the success of Scream. The most recent one is Disturbing Behavior. Now, movie reviewers keep wondering why so many of these films are getting made. So we asked some of the young stars for their opinions.
Gavin thinks some sinister force is taking over the Cradle-Bay meatheads.
You know what it is. You know.
A sinister force?
You know, evil. Nowhere to turn, no one to trust, altogether ooky.
Katie Holmes, the young star of TV's Dawson's Creek, makes her horror debut in Disturbing Behavior.
Well, I think the new influx of teenage films are so popular because they're just, they're not condescending to the audience. They give kids credit for being intelligent. They don't spell everything out for them, and they present them with things that really make them think.
Those involved with disturbing behavior hope to take elements that were successful in Scream, but create a movie that will stand on its own.
I know I'm not supposed to be doing this. It's bad. Wrong. Wrong. Bad.
Oh, it's not bad. It's different than Scream. It's more of a psychological thriller. You know, it's more of a kind of make you get under your skin and make you paranoid kind of movie, and that's totally different than Scream.
Before the year's out, expect to see even more teen horror films. Every Hollywood studio wants a box office hit they can scream about.
I've read so many scripts that are kind of like Scream knockoffs. And I don't mean to be mean or anything, but there's just a lot of them, and I think that happens in Hollywood. I mean, one thing is a success, and then you see so many that try to be like that. I was attracted to disturbing behavior because although it was part of the horror genre, it's a little different.
Director David Nutter, who has overseen numerous X-Files episodes, makes his feature film debut with Disturbing Behavior.
And action!
He admits that the 6-year-old Disturbing Behavior script probably would not have been made were it not for Scream's success.
You have people that say, oh, well, that movie did well, let's make it more like that, or whatever. The number one thing is to try not to lose the heart of the picture, and to me, this picture was one that I felt was hopefully influenced as much by X-Files, which is something that I'm really part of, as to Scream.
I can't go home. When I get there, they're waiting for me. Don't leave me alone like this!
The man who inspired films like Disturbing Behavior is Scream screenwriter Kevin Williamson. He's now an executive producer on the teen horror film Halloween H2O. How does he feel about all this teen horror hoopla?
Hey, you know, I'm just so happy Scream turned out well and that it was so successful, and you know, if it spawns some more stories, you know, hopefully they'll be good. You know, all these horror movies will probably come out, the genre will die again, and then who knows, maybe it'll take another horror movie to reinvent itself. You know, maybe like Scream 3 or something, you know, so we'll see.
Coming up, some amazing fantasy dream cars. And a Godzilla fan shows us his monstrous collection.
Be sure to log on to the Dominion and check out these cyber events. Enter the Dominion at www.scifi.com.
If you drive a car, you're going to love this museum we've discovered. I had the opportunity to get up close and personal with some of the spaciest autos ever built.
Once upon a time, the future looked like this. These are dream cars, handmade prototypes built mostly in the 1950s. The major auto manufacturers created them to give consumers a look into automotive Tomorrowland. Recently, I went back to the future to see a collection of dream cars at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. The exhibit covered the golden era of the dream car, from the late 30s to the early 60s. My guide was museum director Ken Gross.
Manufacturers wanted to excite people about the cars that they were selling, and to do that, they showed them these supposed cars of the future. They also wanted to test people's reactions to different ideas, wheel treatments, wraparound windshields, whether sleek new bodies and shapes. And by putting these cars on display for people and talking to them at car shows, they had a pretty good idea of what was going to sell in the future and what wasn't.
Unlike the very practical concept cars that Detroit designers come up with today, these prototypes oozed bold styling, grand visions, and a sense of infinite possibilities.
Well, what can we learn from the dream car era?
Well, I think stylists who come here, and we've had a lot of automotive stylists, like to look back and look at the free expression and the feeling that their counterparts might have had 30 or 40 years ago. These guys were not afraid.
Among my favorites in the exhibit were the glass-topped 1954 Pontiac Bonneville Special,
Very Judy Jetson,
and the 1953 Buick Wildcat. With this sleek beauty, General Motors pioneered the fiberglass body.
On the front wheel here, you have a fixed hubcap with a brake scoop to cool the brakes, and that's something that never went into production, but it was an idea that they tried.
And it stays put
It
as the wheel
stays
goes
put,
around.
but the wheel rolls around, exactly. And in the back, you'd almost think that you were driving a speedboat, because that's really what the effect that they wanted. The strakes down the center, the exhaust through the back.
I also developed a crush on the 1954 Dodge Fire Aero. They actually manufactured a couple of dozen of these, and owners included Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. The two-seater flaunted a sassy checkered interior and a clock in the center of the steering wheel.
Another nice thing are these transparent sun visors.
Oh, that's great.
You could see through them when they were down in a car like this, but they also block the light.
Sadly, most of the dream cars ended up rusting in junkyards, or like this one, in a farmer's field. And by the mid-60s, the car companies had stopped building them.
In the 50s, when most of these cars were built, there was really no intention to build them the way they were. They were more to gauge ideas, and they were more to test individual components. Today, manufacturers are a little more practical. And they're not going to show you a car like a rocket because they're unlikely to build one.
Today's vehicles are technologically far more advanced than any of the dream cars. But personally, I'd give up technical improvements any day to drive a car that is a work of sci-fi art. When Godzilla opened in the early summer, we had longtime Godzilla fan Sean Sheridan give us his opinion of the movie, which led some viewers to ask, what makes this guy a Godzilla expert anyway? Well, see for yourself.
I collect sci-fi toys, action figures, but the main part of my collection is Godzilla toys. I collect all the different versions of Godzilla, all his rivals and allies, as well as lots of other Japanese monsters. In addition to Godzilla toys, I also collect the movies on tape. I have every single Godzilla film on video. I have lots of soundtracks to the Godzilla films. I have a Godzilla lighter, a Godzilla toothbrush holder, a Godzilla soap dish, and a Godzilla keychain. I remember when I was a little kid, I would be arguing with my friends about who was the toughest monster, Godzilla or Ghidorah or Mothra, and that was really great. Kind of like the way the Star Trek mythology is very big and you have lots of fans. Same thing with the Godzilla films. My girlfriend collects mostly toy robots, and she kind of got into collecting from me, I think. I mean, she always was kind of into sci-fi, but I think she caught the hardcore collecting bug from me.
So what is this? This is the Godzilla bank.
One of these sources for my collecting is a place called Time Travelers in Culver City, California, which is an antique toy mall. There are not really many places around in America that you can just go into a store and get Godzilla figures. You have to go to conventions or mail orders or internet sites. So for the real true Godzilla fan, they really have to kind of work hard at finding the really good stuff, and that's kind of part of the fun. I always thought when I was young that Godzilla was more than just a special effect. He was a real character. He was the character in the movies. He was the most interesting thing about the movie. He was very kind of ambiguous. He was kind of scary, but also kind of really cool at the same time.
If you've ever read Watchmen, you know its creator, Alan Moore, is one of the groundbreaking storytellers in comics today. Out of curiosity, we headed for England to find out what makes this Watchman tick.
I don't know. It's always difficult to say what you've brought to a particular field, whether you would have done it differently. I mean, with Watchmen, as far as I can remember, my intention was to make the comic book capable of dealing with adult themes and a more grim, gritty, realistic view of the superhero and his world.
So grim and gritty, in fact, that some shops refuse to carry Moore's work. For instance, From Hell has been seized by police in a number of countries, including the UK, Australia, Canada, and the US. But Alan insists that he's only writing about the real world and its real people. People like you and me, or at least like Alan.
I believe that almost everybody has a multifaceted personality. So, if you're writing a character that is, for example, very cowardly, then it would be instructive to actually go back to the last time in your life, the time that you didn't tell anybody about, when you did something that was low and cowardly, and then amplify that emotion. And the same goes if you're doing a character that is particularly noble.
Though once considered underground, Alan's audience continues to grow. In fact, Hollywood studios are developing both From Hell and an upcoming war comic called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I don't know if there is an underground anymore, is there? It's not like I'm an outsider who came in. I think I'm an outsider, and then the walls of the building that I was outside just collapsed of their own accord. Everybody's outside now. This is the 20th century. You know, we're sort of... I don't think there are any insiders anymore, perhaps in the stock markets, but not in real life.
That's all the time we have for this week. We'll be back with more sci-fi entertainment next week. See you then.
Produced in association with the Sci-Fi Channel.